a name that's become synonymous with resilience, controversy. Choi Woongki. If you know the name, you know it's never far from a headline, and if you don't, buckle up. Picture this. It's late November 2025. Woongki, now a member of the newly debuted 5th-gen group AHOF, is doing a live stream, a casual, intimate moment with fans. He's scrolling through comments, smiling when he suddenly stops. His expression shifts just for a fraction of a second. He's seen a comment written in English telling him he's going viral on X, the social media platform formerly known as Twitter, for allegedly bullying his own groupmate. The chat holds its breath. This is the kind of allegation that has ended careers, shattered groups, and torn fandoms apart. In an industry where image is everything, a bullying scandal. But Woongki doesn't freeze. He doesn't ignore it. He lets out a laugh, but it's not one of amusement. It's a laugh of sheer disbelief. And then he addresses it head on, his tone casual yet firm. Never, he says. I love Jan so much, and I know he loves me too. So please don't make any bad stuffs between us. We're so good. All of us are so good. It was a direct, unfiltered shutdown. Fans erupted in support, praising his bravery for confronting the rumor so transparently. But the very existence of that rumor, popping up just months after his hard-won debut, speaks volumes about the cloud of controversy that has followed Woongki for years. This wasn't an isolated incident. It was merely the latest chapter in a long, complicated saga. To understand why a simple, baseless rumor could gain such traction, we have to rewind. Long before AHOF, Woongki was a fresh-faced trainee who first stepped into the public eye on the survival show TO1. He debuted with the group TO1, initially called 2O, back in 2020, but his time there was short-lived. He left the group in 2022, and the reasons, while never officially detailed, became a fertile ground for speculation. Rumors began to swirl, whispers about conflicts within the group, about a personality that didn't fit, about behind-the-scenes drama. This is where the first layer of his controversial image was cemented. In the court of public opinion, an idol leaving a group is often judged guilty until proven innocent. Netizens speculated endlessly. Was he difficult to work with? Was there a falling out? The lack of a clear public explanation from the company meant that the vacuum was filled with assumptions, many of them negative. This period marked the first major shift in his public perception, from a promising rookie to a figure shrouded in mystery and unanswered questions. It was a narrative that would prove stubbornly difficult to shake. Then came the real crucible, Boys Planet. This was Woongki's chance at a redemption arc, a public reboot of his career, and for a while it seemed to be working. He charmed viewers with his vibrant personality, his sharp dance skills, and his undeniable stage presence. But Boys Planet was also the stage for what would become one of the most debated and emotionally charged moments of his career. During the show, he was shown breaking down in tears, utterly overwhelmed by the pressure. He spoke candidly about his past struggles, about the pain of his previous departure from TO1, and the immense weight of being a retrainee. The editing focused heavily on his emotional vulnerability. The public reaction was, as always, a double-edged sword. A large portion of the audience, the fans who would become his dedicated healing, saw this as a moment of raw human honesty. They felt for him. They saw a young man bearing the scars of a harsh industry. But on the other side, a different narrative took hold. Critics and antis began to label him as dramatic, as someone who was playing for sympathy, or using his past as a tool to gain votes. The conversation on online forums like Pan and Nate, and of course on X, became a battlefield. Was his vulnerability authentic, or was it a calculated move? This is a classic dilemma in the hyper-analytical world of K-pop fandom. Every tear, every word is scrutinized. For Woongki, his moment of greatest transparency became a key piece of evidence for both his supporters and his detractors. It solidified his image as a controversial, divisive figure. You were either on his side, feeling his pain, or you were suspicious of his motives. There was no middle ground. And then the plot thickened with the emergence of other rumors, the kind that are far more damaging than allegations of being dramatic. Around this time, whispers began to circulate online about attitude issues. There were anonymous posts supposedly from insiders claiming he was rude to staff backstage. There were edited clips taken out of context that purported to show him being disrespectful to other contestants. One particularly persistent rumor suggested he was part of a clique that excluded others, a classic bullying trope. These kinds of leaks are incredibly difficult to combat. They are often vague, sourced from unnamed friends of a friend or staff members, making them impossible to verify or refute directly. Yet they spread like wildfire through social media ecosystems, gaining a veneer of truth through sheer repetition. Fans would spend hours debunking these claims, analyzing longer video clips to show he was being friendly, compiling evidence of his positive interactions. But the damage was often done. In the court of public opinion, a rumor only needs to be compelling, not true, to tarnish a reputation. This constant cycle of allegation and defense created an exhausting dynamic for his fandom and placed Woongki permanently in a defensive posture. He wasn't just an idol trying to succeed. He was an idol constantly having to prove he wasn't the villain people were making him out to be. This all came to a head around the time of the Boys Planet eliminations. When he was eventually eliminated, failing to make the final lineup for Zero Base Zone, the reaction was another seismic event. His emotional farewell speech was again framed in two starkly different ways. For his fans, it was a heart-wrenching injustice. They saw a talented, passionate performer being robbed of his dream once again, a victim of the very system and the negative press that had dogged him. They launched hashtags, trended posts, and poured out their support, cementing their dedication. For others, it was a validation of their suspicions. They argued that the controversies and the baggage he carried made him an unsuitable candidate for a major group. This is a brutal reality of the K-pop industry. Companies are notoriously risk-averse. An idol who comes with a pre-existing narrative of drama and rumor, regardless of its truth, is often seen as a liability. The fallout from his elimination wasn't just disappointment. It was a reinforcement of the divisive narrative. It proved that the controversies had real-world consequences, potentially costing him a spot in one of the biggest boy groups of the generation. Which brings us back full circle to that live stream in November 2025. The bullying rumor against John wasn't just a random attack. It was a ghost from his past controversies coming back to haunt his present. The very fact that such a claim could be made and gain enough traction to reach him during a live stream shows how persistent his controversial image had been. The people making these claims were likely drawing a direct line from the old, unverified rumors about his attitude and his time in TO1 to this new group. It's a pattern of guilt by association where an idol's past is constantly used as a weapon against their future. Woongki's immediate, blunt response was significant. It was the response of someone who has been through this before, someone who knows that silence can be misconstrued as admission. By saying, "I love Jan, please don't make any bad stuffs between us," he wasn't just addressing one rumor. He was pushing back against years of narrative building that painted him as a difficult or bullying figure. He was taking control of his own story in real time.